Hey everyone, welcome to this Lunar Eclipse Sidereal Astrology report for the days surrounding the lunar eclipse of the 15th through the 17th of September. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so this lunar eclipse will be in a Pisces, a very important time, as I've been talking about this whole month, being the eclipse cycle, the eclipse lunar and solar cycle here. So this is the last and final lunar eclipse in Pisces. We've had the South Node transiting through Pisces over the past couple years, and so now the last one until, again, the 16 to 18 year cycle of once the South Node comes back around to this part of the chart. So it's the last one involving the South Node. Okay, so the South Node has been releasing the older energies, the older patterns that are unhealthy or imbalanced that have to do with Pisces. So some extremes of this might be old ideals have been released over these past couple years. Old patterns of escaping, of wanting to hide away. Old things of wanting to dissolve and dream and create a fantasy about things. You know, these are just a couple examples of Pisces being imbalanced, and with the South Node was suggesting those older energies being released. So now it's the last and final culmination of all this where we can have the awareness of some of this energy. In other words, of where these patterns may have been occurring and where they might be occurring here, these surrounding days, so that we can be aware of them, accept them, and then naturally through that acceptance they naturally want to go. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring balance back to this area. And I think it is a great time this later part of the week to change these old patterns so that we can have a healthy expression of Pisces. And this is the qualities of willingness to accept things for how they are. And you know, this is such the important emphasis with this acceptance. And this is acceptance of our life, of ourselves, of our relationships, and all in all just being with things for how they are. So there's a tremendous liberation of all this. As you can imagine, you know, Pisces is the last constellation in the whole Zodiac wheel, which is where we come back into wholeness. We come back into peace. We come back into tranquility. And this is what we have this opportunity here to do, collectively speaking. Now, it's also, you know, the fishes, and the fishes are swimming in two opposite directions, but they're joined by the point. You know, they're tied together with the string, but the string comes to the point. And what this suggests is that we're all connected. You know, this whole universe is so vast, and life is so vast that it's incomprehensible. So it's about surrendering to everything that is not in our immediate control and having faith and connecting to that essence. Right? So for some of us, it's God. For some of us, it's the universe, source. You know, it's not so much about the philosophy as much as it's about our personal relationship to that essence of life. And in that way, obviously, there is more peace, there's more acceptance, there's more tranquility once we surrender to that and connect to that beingness. All right, so that's the Pisces lunar eclipse. Now, there are some very important aspects with this. It is going to be conjoining up to Chiron very closely, in fact, within a couple degrees here, suggesting that this is a time of healing. And maybe with the lunar eclipse, since it's about this awareness of our wounds, awareness of where we might feel insecure or doubtful or just feel wounded, maybe regarding the past, because of course this is associated with the South Node. So it's an excellent time to, again, be aware of any wounds we might have, to accept them, because of course if we're not accepting, if we're pushing away any wounds, then we can't do the healing. And then naturally in that process, we can heal these older wounds. And then a lot of this is about wounds relating to the Pisces energy, relating to any resistance in life. You know, resistance is the opposite of Pisces and wanting to control things. So with these wounds coming up, these insecurities, these doubts, it's great to do the healing this part of the week and really just for the next couple weeks as we continue with this eclipse cycle. Now, this lunar eclipse will also be in a T-square. No surprise there. We've been looking at all these T-squares with Saturn and Mars, but this one will be particularly emphasizing Mars. All right, so Mars is our desires, it's our drives, it's the things we want in life. And in this square, there might be some friction with that. All right, so I've been talking about that earlier in the week, and this has been the either over extreme of Mars, of wanting our needs met, wanting to assert ourselves, get the things we want in life. And if it's too much, then it's being aware of that. And just the awareness can help balance out the Mars, that independent spirit, the drives, the desires, the ego in many ways. Now, the under extreme might be that we're not feeling motivated. We're not feeling like we're wanting to pursue things. And so we might be dragging our feet. And so it might be a time of this lunar eclipse to see where we can take action, where we can take slow and steady action, healthy action, with pause, with a break, with presence, of course, Pisces. And with Mars in a Fucus, just like Chiron, this is all about healing. And with Mars here is that we're healing this side of ourselves collectively. The side of ourselves that wants to be independent, wants to pursue the things we want in life, our desires, our surface ego, if you will. It's all going through this healing energy. So it can be deep. And I highly recommend being willing to go deep at this time, personally, within ourselves, and to explore and see where we might have those wounds. But in that way, what's happening is as Mars goes over this galactic center, that giant black hole we have in the center of the galaxy is right here about 2 degrees at the end of a Fucus. As Mars goes over that these coming days and weeks, there's this transformation occurring with the motivation, with the drive, with that masculine energy. But in order to do that, we have to, in this case now, do the inner exploration, do the inner healing, be aware of it, and transform. Again, break any old patterns, break any old attachments, or control things that we may feel like doing, or that might come up, or we might react to in the square. So very powerful here, very important. And this lunar eclipse is also going to be opposing up to this Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot to reconsider right now, and realizing that things are up in the air. And we're supposed to be reconsidering things. It's not the time of, if we're not sure, and there is, absolutely a lot of uncertainty with Saturn still squaring Neptune. Of course, that's past, but it's still very much an orb. Things are up in the air and there's a lot of uncertainty. So when that's the case, when we're not clear, and when Mercury's retrograde like this, it's good to be flexible. It's good to be adaptive, to see where things take us, and always have a plan A, a plan B, plan C, and go with the flow in that sense, right? And try new things. So as long as we're being adaptive, we're being flexible, being open-minded, we're willing to learn. Mercury is all about learning, and that's what the nodes are all about too. This willingness to learn can be a great way of balancing this eclipse. So let's talk about the balancing side to this. Like I was saying, where there's Pisces, there's also Virgo. And this is that the sun is going to be shifting into Virgo right around this eclipse, right before it, in fact. So there is this shift of focus now towards the details of life. And this is everything that we do have control over, ourselves, basically. And the things that are in our immediate environment with our life, such as our daily routine, what we do through our work, these kinds of matters, our personal development. So it's great to be focused on this. And I do want to say there's a lot of positive energy for this personal development with Virgo. Jupiter's here, Venus is here. Okay, so there's opportunity with Jupiter, perhaps some inspirations, seeing that future things are unfolding, but it does require focusing on the details, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure everything's taken care of. And we could even enjoy that, a bit of analyzing and improvement energy with Venus. But in either case, with the sun, there's a focus here. It's a focus on details. And I think focusing on what we do have control over, which is ourselves, our personal development, our personal growth, is a great way of working with that. And that's the balancing point. We can have both acceptance of Pisces as well as a focus on the immediate environment of what we do have control over, which again is ourselves. All right, so that's the lunar eclipse aspects involving the lunar eclipse, but we do also have Mars trining up to Uranus going into the weekend. So as a result, and as you can see here, here's the transits. This eclipse will be around 1454 Eastern time. And after that eclipse, we are going to have Mars trining Uranus. So what's nice is, because Mars is under this T-square, there is a bit of support here and a bit of free-spiritedness, I feel like. And I think we'll feel that particularly after the lunar eclipse. So it's all about freedom. Now, the key, though, is that Uranus is in Pisces and has been in Pisces for a very long time. And this has been showing us the freedom that comes through acceptance. Again, we come back to this Pisces energy. So there is freedom. There is perhaps a liberation with what we want, with our desires of wanting to move things forward, or maybe a willingness to do that. So I think it's great to, again, with presence and patience, to challenge ourselves here to take healthy action. But all of that can be very freeing, very liberating. And through that acceptance, very liberating as well. So that's very nice going into the weekends. And I also want to mention too, Venus will be opposing up to Uranus. So I think this is all about balance, like I've been saying. Again, balance with Pisces and Virgo, with Venus being in Virgo, just seeing that they're really just two sides of the same coin, right? We can have freedom of spiritual liberation, of acceptance, as well as at the same time, pursue the things we value in life and we enjoy in life on that everyday level, and pursue that personal development. All right, so that's the lunar eclipse in a nutshell. Here's all the aspects for those of you who want to see, but it's basically everything we've talked about. A lot of energy involving this Chiron with the lunar eclipse in conjunction there. So there's this now wounds coming to the surface, making this an excellent time to heal our relationship to that beingness, to acceptance, and balancing that with this focus on a personal growth and personal development. All while this crux energy of Mars is having the balanced energy of action, seeing that, of course, life is about free will and is about our choices, but within the context that there is things, the vast majority of things are larger than us, are greater than us. And having that pause, taking that step back is, I think, very important with this. All right, so I hope you guys have a fantastic lunar eclipse. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.